Hey, welcome to another episode of Mojo. This is the podcast that kickstarts your week with real talk, fresh perspective, and a little fuel for your business journey. I'm excited to be with you again. And today's message is one I wish someone had told me a long time ago. And that is just this: work smarter, not harder. I know we've all heard it before, but let's be honest. Most of us are still out here grinding like crazy, thinking more hours equals more success. But what if the real key isn't doing more? It's actually doing what matters most better. So let's just talk a little bit about hustle, right? This whole hustle culture. I started working a long time ago, and that was really what I think a lot of us wanted to prove was that we could grind and hustle. And somewhere along the way, we bought into that belief that success means burnout and that if you weren't exhausted, you might not be doing enough. And I definitely lived that for a long time. I pulled long 16-hour days, answered emails at midnight, said yes to every opportunity and client that came my way just to keep a full pipeline. And guess what? I was tired. I was exhausted. Yes, I was busy, but it didn't necessarily mean that I was always productive or profitable. So here's the truth: being busy does not mean you're building. If you are feeling constantly overwhelmed, it might be a sign that you're working harder than you need to. So let's break this apart. What I'm talking about is working smarter. It's understanding how to work within your priorities. And so that is step one. If you want to learn how to work smarter, I would say there are three things to focus on. And the first one is to prioritize and have that prioritization occur with some purpose, right? So we've talked about this before, and it's the 80-20 rule, and it's truly a game changer. If you can understand that 20% of your efforts will yield 80% of your results, you will be on a new path to achieving higher levels of productivity. So think about your business. What are the few activities that actually drive income or create impact? I work with real estate agents every day, and I can tell you that one of the activities in any realtor's 20% is lead generation. And honestly, if you are in business, if you are in any type of customer driven, sales oriented business, it's the same for you too. So we can use lead generation as an example of what should be in our 20%, right? And again, I'm using a realtor as an example. Lead generation is really having those conversations with people that could lead to appointments. It's not redesigning flyers. For a business owner, it could be strategic planning, right? Because that's an important part of our 20%. If we're always thinking strategically and creating an actionable plan from that, then we're working within our priority. What would not be a 20% activity is micromanaging your emails or trying to create filing systems. And I know that structure and I know that systems are important. The question is whether or not you need to be the one to do it. And it's really important that you learn how to discern what's in your priorities, what's in your 20%. And it might be a little different for all of us, but if you really want to work smarter, that's the first thing you have to do is know what your priorities are. I think the second thing that can help you work smarter is learn where you can automate and delegate, right? So, in other words, again, let's be real, we cannot do it all, nor should we. If you're still doing a lot of things manually, if you're updating your own paperwork and spreadsheets, or you're trying to wear 10 different hats, you are more than likely clogging up your time and your energy. And so we have to be honest about how and where we can implement leverage, because leverage is going to help us do what we need to do better, faster, and easier. And so leverage can show up as people, right? You maybe need to hire some people to help you. Maybe it shows up in terms of tools and technology like certain CRM programs or task management systems, right? So it's important that you understand where you need to automate and delegate, because that's where all the stuff in the 80% needs to go. It needs to be leveraged out so that you can focus on your priorities or your 20% activities. So, a great action step around this is for you to think about or keep track of what you're doing in a week. And when you find some recurring tasks that you're doing a lot, ask yourself, is this something that I could automate somehow? Or is this something I could delegate somehow and then go make that happen? Let go of it. The third thing that I would share with you if you're looking to work smarter and not harder is really two words: focus and flow. Because focus isn't just about turning off your phone and avoiding distractions, but it is about quieting the noise. And so maybe turning off your phone is part of it. But when we talk about focus, it's really about protecting your mind from all the noise around you. Let me put it this way: if you think that you've earned a badge of honor by claiming yourself to be a multitasker, I'm really sorry, sweetie. It's not good for you. It's not helping you, and it's a myth. So it's about understanding that every time you switch gears, every time you try to juggle more than one activity, your brain pays a toll for that. Your energy is depleted and your focus shifts. And so it's really about understanding how to create uninterrupted focus so that you can get things done. And so the solution to that, or the action to that, is time blocking. So if you could get clear about what those 20% activities are and then time block 30, 60, 90 minutes, whatever it really takes to get into that activity and see results, that means that you are only focused on that one thing without interruptions, without any kind of distraction. You build a bunker around you, you eliminate those distractions, you put other people on notice that you are going to be focused on this task so that you can get into execution. And it's because it's a high priority task, right? It's back to that first thing we talked about: what's in your 20%. When you do that consistently, all I can say is watch what happens. It creates extraordinary results. So it is about those three things, right? Understanding that if you want to work smarter, it's understanding what your priorities are, knowing your 80-20 rule, right? And what's in your 20%, figuring out what you need to automate and delegate, and then creating real focus so that your productivity flows. Right? I know something that we talk a lot about in my world at Keller Williams is mindset. And of course, I do believe that mindset will be a huge factor in your success. And yet, it's not the only factor, because what we have to understand is we could have, and most people could agree, oh, you have a great mindset, you're focused on all the right things. But let's be honest, we get paid for results. Regardless of the business we're in, we get paid for results. So, working smarter is also about believing that your time and energy are valuable. And you will find that as you work smarter, you're going to work on a shorter list of things. That doesn't mean you're avoiding anything. It doesn't mean you're suddenly becoming lazy. It is about becoming strategic. And as you become strategic, you let go of that grind improve mentality, right? You let go of that belief that you have to look like a busy bee all the time. And what you do is then step into a completely different mindset. You step into the CEO mindset. And even if you're a team of one person, you can have that CEO mindset. So it's understanding that you get paid for results. When you want to work smarter, not harder, you are clear about the goals, and then you know and you figure out what your priorities are. And that list is probably short, but the activities that you focus on are powerful, are creating impact, and therefore moving you much closer to your goals and the results that you want. And remember, that's what we get paid for, are the results. Here's our action plan, I think, for the week, right? Let's try and let go of this belief that we have to go all the time, that we have to hustle and grind and push ourselves to exhaustion, that we have to be busy all day long, because busy doesn't always equal productive. And the goal is that we want to be productive. Take some time to think about this conversation and ask yourself, where do you need to make one small shift? Maybe it's blocking time for your power moves, right? For your power tasks or your 20% activities. That could be one great move you make this week. Maybe it's taking the time, as I said earlier, to journal or keep track of all your daily activities and get clear about that one thing that takes so much of your time that you could easily delegate. Or maybe it's that thing that you're doing that you don't like to do. Maybe you're not even good at it, and therefore it's probably taking you longer to get it done than anyone else could do for you. So just get clear about what you need to delegate, what you need to get off your plate. And it's not to say that whatever that is not essential, it just means that you realize you don't have to be the one to do it. So it could also show up as needing to delegate some things or moving some things off your plate in your personal life too. Again, if you are focused on achieving some very big goals, then you have to understand your time is very precious. Your time is valuable. Not just the time you have to invest in your business, but also the time you have to refuel, to connect with people, loved ones, family, friends, enjoy a vacation, downtime, right? Because we have to renew, we have to recharge the battery. So if you can delegate a few things in your personal life, like cleaning your house, doing your lawn, snow removal, maybe even doing your grocery shopping, if you could delegate that to other people or other systems, other resources, you're freeing up your time so that you can invest it back in rejuvenation and recharging your battery. And so I want you to think about what you can do this week, a small shift that will move you closer to working smarter rather than harder. And whatever it is, just start with that and commit to it. And hey, I think it will make a huge difference. And I would love to hear what shift you're making. So feel free to tag me on social or DM me and let me know. Or if you have some questions about where you could make some changes, or if you want some help looking at your time and taking an audit, I'm happy to do that. And especially if you are a real estate agent in any company, I'm here to help you take a look at what those activities could be or should be in your 20%. And I'm willing to sit down and provide you with some free consultations on that. At the end of the day, I think we're all looking to achieve big things, great things. We are doing what we're doing because it matters. So let's hold each other accountable to being smarter and making our success much more sustainable and avoid burnout if we can. And I'm just glad that we can get together like this every week for these conversations, for these doses of mojo. And I appreciate you tuning in every week. So go out there this week and make a shift, make one smart move towards working smarter and share with me your results. And I'll see you next week.